Picture yourself in a crowded room, the air thick with noise televisions blaring, notifications pinging, voices shouting opinions that clash and dissolve into static. You're trying to think, to make sense of the world, but every step feels like wading through molasses. You work hard, follow the rules, pay your taxes, and yet, the life you're promised, the one with meaning, security, and freedom slips further away. The leaders you trusted, the ones who swore to guide you, stand atop their podiums, their smiles polished, their words rehearsed. They promise solutions, but the problems persist. You feel the weight of it, don't you? The nagging sense that something's wrong, that the game is rigged, and you're not the one holding the cards. Why is it that the harder you try to see clearly, the more the world feels like a maze with no exit? This isn't an accident. You're not lost because you lack effort or intelligence. You're trapped in a cave of deception, as Plato described centuries ago. In his allegory, prisoners are chained in a dark cavern facing a blank wall. They see only shadows projected by objects behind them, lit by a fire they cannot turn to see. These shadows are all they know, all they believe to be real. If you told them the truth, that their reality is a mere flicker of something greater, they'd scoff, cling to their chains, and call you mad. This is where you are, right now. The cave is our society, and the shadows are the stories you've been fed since birth. Work hard and you'll succeed. Trust the system and it'll reward you. Obey the rules and you'll be free. These are not truths. They are lies, carefully crafted to keep you docile, distracted, and dependent. And the ones who profit? The puppeteers behind the fire modern. Leaders who thrive not on your wisdom, but on your ignorance. Let's peel back the curtain. The lie at the heart of this cave is simple yet insidious. Ignorance is safety, and knowledge is dangerous. You've been taught to trust the shadows, to accept the narratives fed to you by media, politicians, and corporate giants. They tell you the economy is complex, so leave it to the experts. They say global conflicts are inevitable, so support the war machine. They insist your role is to consume, vote, and stay in line because that's what keeps the world spinning. But who does this really serve? Not you. The average person, grinding through 40-hour weeks, drowning in debt, and scrolling through endless feeds, isn't the beneficiary of this system. The winners are the ones shaping the shadows, the CEOs who profit from your overwork, the politicians who campaign on your fears, the media moguls who sell you outrage disguised as truth. They don't want you to turn around and see the fire. They want you staring at the wall, hypnotized by their projections. Plato's allegory isn't just a thought experiment. It's a scalpel for dissecting power. He argued that our perceptions are manipulated by those who control the light, who decide what we see and what remains hidden. But let's ground this in something more tangible. Consider the modern education system. You're told it's the path to freedom, that a degree equals opportunity. Yet, millions graduate with crippling debt, chasing jobs that barely cover rent. The system isn't designed to liberate you. It's built to indenture you. Or take the news cycle, a 24/7 barrage of crises, scandals, and soundbites. You're not informed. You're overwhelmed, conditioned to react rather than reflect. This is no mistake. An ignorant populace is a pliable one. When you're too busy surviving, too distracted by the next headline, you don't ask why the top 1% own more wealth than the bottom 90%. You don't question why your taxes fund endless wars while your schools crumble. You stay in the cave, chained by a belief that this is just how things are. Now, let's turn to philosophy to sharpen our lens. Nietzsche, that firebrand of truth, would call this the triumph of slave morality. He argued that the powerful, those who shape society's values, create moral systems to keep the masses subservient. They glorify obedience, humility, and sacrifice as virtues, while branding curiosity, ambition, and defiance as sins. Sound familiar? You're praised for clocking in on time, for paying your bills, for not rocking the boat. But the moment you question the system, say, by demanding transparency from your leaders or rejecting their scripted narratives, you're labeled a troublemaker, a conspiracy nut, or worse. This isn't because you're wrong. It's because you're dangerous. A mind that sees through the shadows threatens the entire cave. Nietzsche's insight cuts deeper when we apply it to today's world. Think about the diligent worker, the one who follows every rule, works overtime, and still struggles to afford a home. Compare them to the influencer who peddles lies for profit, or the politician who spins scandals into votes. Who thrives? Not the worker. The system doesn't reward virtue. It rewards those who manipulate the shadows. The diligent are kept busy, their energy siphoned to fuel the ambitions of the cunning. This is slave morality in action, a world where goodness is equated with compliance, and power goes to those who exploit it. The lie of ignorance as safety ensures you stay in your place, while the puppeteers reap the rewards. But who are these puppeteers, and why do they need your ignorance? The answer lies in control. An ignorant society is predictable. It buys what it's told to buy, votes how it's told to vote, and fears what it's told to fear. Look at advertising. Billions spent to convince you that happiness lies in the next gadget, the next subscription, the next trend. Or consider political campaigns where fear-mongering and half-truths drown out reason. The powerful don't need your stupidity in the sense of low IQ. They need your inattention, your willingness to accept the shadows without questioning. They profit because your ignorance is their currency. Every time you scroll past a lie without pausing, every time you nod along to a hollow promise, you hand them another coin. This dynamic isn't new. Plato warned of it in his time, when sophists twisted words to sway the masses. But today the cave is global, wired, and relentless. Social media algorithms amplify division, keeping you angry at your neighbor instead of the systems that bind you both. Economic policies favor the wealthy, yet you're told the problem is your work ethic. The shadows are sharper now, projected in 4K, and the chains are invisible, disguised as freedom, choice, and progress. The tragedy isn't just that you're deceived. It's that you're taught to love your chains, to defend the very systems that exploit you. What happens if you stay in this cave? You'll run the treadmill of life, chasing shadows that never materialize. You'll work harder, earn less, and wonder why you're always one step behind. You'll vote for change, only to see the same policies repackaged. You'll consume, obey, and conform, all while feeling emptier, because the lie of ignorance as safety robs you of something deeper: agency. The ability to think for yourself, to question, to carve your own path. And while you're distracted, the puppeteers will belay. Keep profiting off your labor, your attention, your very existence. But here's the spark of hope. You don't have to stay chained. Plato's allegory doesn't end with the cave. It begins with a prisoner who breaks free. Imagine turning around, seeing the fire, and realizing the shadows aren't reality. It's painful at first. The light blinds, the truth stings. You'll face resistance from others still chained and from the puppeteers who need you compliant. But once you see, you can't unsee. The system isn't broken. It's built this way, designed to keep you in the dark. The just world fallacy that hard work always wins, that the good always triumph, is a comforting lie. Strip it away, and you're left with a raw, liberating truth. Power isn't given. It's taken. This awakening is no small thing. It's a seismic shift, a crack in the foundation of everything you've been taught to believe. You begin to see the cave for what it is, not a home, but a prison. The shadows lose their hold, and the puppeteer's tricks become transparent. You notice how every crisis is spun to keep you afraid, how every promise of progress comes with strings attached. You see the diligent worker toiling endlessly, while the manipulator climbs the ladder by bending the truth. You see the headlines not as facts, but as tools to keep you distracted. This is the moment Plato described when the prisoner steps into the sunlight blinded, disoriented, but finally free to see the world as it is. It's not a comfortable place. The light reveals harsh truths. The system doesn't care about your dreams, and fairness is a myth peddled to keep you compliant. But in that discomfort lies power, the power to redefine your life on your terms. Let's pause on this idea of power, because it's where the lie of ignorance as safety does its deepest damage. You've been taught that power is something external granted by wealth, status, or authority. The powerful are the ones with corner offices, private jets, or podiums to preach from. They're the ones who shape the shadows, and you're just a spectator, right? Wrong. This is the slave morality Nietzsche railed against, the belief that your worth lies in serving someone else's vision. True power isn't a crown handed to you. It's the fire you ignite within. It's the ability to think critically, to question boldly, to act with intention rather than obedience. The puppeteers don't want you to know this, because a mind that claims its own power is their greatest threat. Consider what this means in practice. The diligent worker, the one who follows the rules and hopes for a reward, is playing a losing game. They're chained to a system that values their output, not their potential. Now imagine that worker waking up, refusing to accept the shadows as truth. They start asking why their labor enriches others while they scrape by. They stop trusting the news and seek out primary sources. They reject the idea that their worth lies in how many hours they clock or how many likes they get. This is power, not dominating others, but mastering yourself. It's the shift from being a pawn in someone else's game to writing your own rules. But this shift isn't easy. The cave is comfortable, familiar, even seductive. It's easier to scroll through outrage than to dig for truth. It's simpler to blame your struggles on bad luck than to face the system's design, and the puppeteers know this. They count on your inertia, your fear of standing out, your reluctance to face the light. That's why the lie of ignorance as safety is so effective. It's not just a belief. It's a habit. You're conditioned to stay distracted, to accept the shadows because questioning them feels like work. But what's the cost of staying comfortable? A life half lived, a mind half used, a world that profits from your passivity. Let's bring this back to Plato's cave. The prisoner who escapes doesn't just see the truth. They face a choice. They could return to the cave, try to free the others, and risk being mocked or worse. Or they could walk away, build a life in the light, and leave the shadows behind. This is your choice too. You can't unsee the lie that ignorance is safety, that the system is your friend, but you can choose what to do with that knowledge. The puppeteers will keep spinning their shadows, and the chained will keep watching. But you can step into the sunlight and claim your agency. So what does this look like in the real world? It starts with redefining virtue. Society tells you virtue is obedience, sacrifice, fitting in. But true virtue is courage, the courage to question, to learn, to act. Stop outsourcing your understanding to experts and algorithms. Read the data, not the headlines. Talk to people, not at them. When you hear a politician promise change, don't clap, ask who's funding them. When a corporation sells you sustainability, check their supply chain. This isn't cynicism, it's clarity. You're not rejecting goodness. You're rejecting a version of goodness that keeps you chained. Next, redefine success. The cave measures success by external markers, money, titles, followers. But these are shadows, fleeting and hollow. Real success is internal, the ability to think for yourself, to live by your values, to build something that outlasts you. The influencer with 1 million followers but no integrity isn't successful. They're a prisoner, chained to the approval of strangers. The quiet thinker who carves out a life of purpose, even if it's modest, is free. Choose the latter. Build skills, not status. Create, don't consume. Live deliberately, not reactively. This brings us to a crucial point: strategy. The puppeteers win because they play chess while you're playing checkers. They anticipate your moves, exploit your distractions, and profit from your predictability. To break free, you need to think like they do, strategically, not emotionally. This doesn't mean becoming a manipulator. It means being intentional. If you want to escape the cave, don't rage against the shadows, study the fire. Learn how power works. Understand why the system rewards certain behaviors and punishes others. Then use that knowledge to carve your own path. For example, if you're stuck in a soul-crushing job, don't just quit in a blaze of glory plan. Build skills on the side, network with people who align with your vision, and exit on your terms. Strategy is power in action. Now, let's address the emotional weight of this journey. Waking up is exhilarating, but it's also lonely. The chained will call you crazy, the puppeteers will call you a threat, and your own doubts will whisper that it's easier to go back. This is where Nietzsche's idea of the will to power becomes your anchor. It's not about dominating others, but about mastering your fears, your habits, your life. Every time you choose truth over comfort, you grow stronger. Every time you act despite resistance, you reclaim a piece of yourself. The cave can't hold a mind that refuses to stay chained. So, here you stand, at the edge of the cave. The sunlight is harsh, the path uncertain, but it's yours. You've seen the lie that ignorance is safety, that the system serves you, and you've felt the sting of truth. The question now is, what will you do? Will you keep watching the shadows, hoping they'll change? Or will you step into the light and build a life that's truly yours? This isn't about overthrowing the system overnight. It's about overthrowing the system within you. Stop letting the puppeteers profit from your ignorance. Stop letting their lies define your reality. You are not a prisoner. You are a mind, a will, a force. And a world flawed, beautiful, and real is waiting for you to claim it. Finally, embrace the struggle. Nietzsche called it the will to power, but it's simpler than that. It's the will to live, fully, fiercely, on your terms. The world won't applaud your awakening. It may even fight you. But every step you take outside the cave is a victory. You're not just escaping, you're building. A mind that sees clearly, a life that bends to your will, a legacy that outshines the shadows. So go. Turn from the wall, face the fire, step into the light. The puppeteers profit only as long as you let them. Your ignorance was their currency. Your awakening is their end. This is your call, your moment, your life. Claim it with every breath. The cave is behind you. The world is ahead. And you are unstoppable.